at my house 3 weeks ago, a fellow popped in. He said, I have some quilts and blankets. Well, he didn't actually call them quilts. He called them blankets that my wife has said throw away. And I felt like somebody could use the quilts. So I took a look at them. He brought, this one is a Texas Star. This is a 9 square. And this one, which is real similar to Mother's, it's a little more spread out, and it has a different batting and all those things, so it's not nearly as old. But then we have, I think that's the grandmother's garden, and then that's the blocks, I believe. We just get quilts from here and there and everywhere.
And when you see a quilt or when people bring you a quilt, what do you look for that you like?
Well, if they're as inexpensive as these were for us, just look to see if they're clean. This one, I'm pretty sure had never been used.
Feed sack fabrics, too.
You look exactly like a lot of this one is feed sack.
Describe how you look for a feed sack fabric.
It's the way it feels and the look of a feed sack. It's always cotton. And but they're almost always a floral, sometimes a gingham type thing, but they're always very soft. And from what we understand, kids when they were real little would go with their families to the feed store and they would pick out a sack that they wanted a dress made from. Now Vickie and I never did that. Never just happened to. We're not that old. But one of our former vendors would talk about how her parents would go and she and her sister would pick out a pattern and her mom would empty up the sack and then they would make dresses out of them. Feed sack, just have a look about them that you just know that that's a feed sack.
Calico, gingham, small prints. Yeah, usually always very small patterns on there.
I have yet to find anything on this one that's not a feed sack.
And when you all see quilts, what are the things that grab your eyes, just as your own personal aesthetic?
Oh, the pattern. You know what the pattern is. The stitching, the tiny
colors.
little stitches. You know, really kind of make me happy because that's very time intensive, and you know what it's taken to make a quilt when it has those, and no machine stitching. I don't care for machine stitched.
No, we kind of stay away from that, although there is some machine stitching on the quilt that Mother did. And I'm not sure why, other than that she maybe got a new sewing machine. I just don't know. But, you know, some of these that you just happen to come across and you can sell fairly inexpensively are not going to be as great. And here are 2 special quilts that we just acquired. They came from the D.C. Culp estate in Johnson City. He was former president of ETSU. And his wife was a collector of antiques and just beautiful things. This quilt, along with this one, came from Trade, Tennessee. And according to the pictures on the back, they were made by a slave named Sally, which means they were made either before the Civil War or during Civil War, before emancipation. But these are beautiful quilts. This one is called Feathered Star. It's all red and white, as is this one, which is the fruit basket. It's all red and white. Stitches are amazing. They're just itsy bitsy tiny little things. And we're pretty proud of those too.
Do you think this was originally red and it's just faded over 150 years?
I think it was probably very red at one point, you know, but it's, as I said, if I were around from that point, I'd probably have a lot of ragged edges and way more faded. So we're pretty proud of those 2 quilts right there.